Welcome to Kennel Tips and Tricks. This video is about rattlesnake aversion training. This video is about a class that I taught in October of 2025 for the Yavapai Sheriff's Office Search Dog Unit. To prepare for the class, I made a video on dogs detecting rattlesnakes. So when the team members are out in the field working with the dogs, they're better equipped to recognize if a dog is detecting a snake. So after the class, I decided to go back in and start editing the video and pull in a lot of resources I've gathered over the years and create a video that everybody can watch to quickly gain a lot of information on this subject. In this video, I'm going to be using rattlesnakes, rattlesnake skin shed for scenting, and my robotic tails for the rattle. A little hard to see. So throughout this video, you're going to see circles. So a red circle is going to indicate to you where the snake is at. It's also going to show when the dog is looking at the rattlesnake. Okay, yellow. Yellow circle is going to indicate scent, when the dog is scenting on a snake or rattlesnake skin shed. Okay, orange. Orange circle is going to indicate the rattle of the tail. All right, let's get started. All right, so the first part of the class, I went over basic rattlesnake aversion training. First phase of the training, we introduced the dog to the rattlesnake and used the e-collar to represent a bite from the snake. Second phase, movement. This is where we extinguish the dog's drive triggered by the movement of the snake. Third phase, air scent, combined with the robotic tail.
Stop.
Fourth phase, this is where we start to teach the dog to go around the snake to get to the handler. The second part of this class, we went over advanced training by watching this video. This video is for Yavapai County Search Dog Unit. It's for the handlers and the flankers. Now I cherry-picked some really good examples of dogs reacting to rattlesnakes. But just remember that out in the field may look a little bit more subtle than this. But this video will give you good examples of what it may look like. Okay, then I'm going to show you what we've been doing with advanced training. And I just want you to note that all these dogs in this video have had their basic training, and there's going to be no stimulation, no e-collar use at all. It's important that we guide the dogs and give them good information so they can make their own decisions. Okay, let's get busy. Hey, this is Scout. He has had basic training in the past. Now we're going to test him. So no e-collar use. I got him on a leash to guide him. We got rattlesnake out front. Okay, now he's sniffing around. Okay, now watch his body language. There he goes. See how he drops? He's standoffish. That was a really good reaction. Okay, this is Coda. Same thing. You're going to walk her straight into that snake. Let's see how she reacts.
It'll slow down a little bit. All right, good girl.
Now we're going to move on to air scenting, and I'm going to use my robotic tail to reinforce a good reaction. I'm going to be very generous, laying down a lot of rattlesnake skin shed. The wind will shift a bit, and I want to guarantee that that odor is going down that trail. Sometimes the skin's a little bit dried out, so I'll even spritz it with water to increase that odor. Now let's test how that wind is flowing, and as long as it stays the way it is, it's going to work out really well. All right, let's bring Scout up to that dip in the road where everything's set up. Let's watch the reaction. It happens quick. Right there. Now I'm going to reinforce it with the tail. Now let's put on a loop so you can really see that reaction. And this is more of a flanker point of view. Let's watch the same thing, but from the handler's point of view. The reaction is a lot clearer from this position. So let's put on a loop. I want you to look at the head snap, the tail, and listen to the feet shifting in the gravel. This is what I'm looking for, that implicit reaction. The body reacts first, and then I have to think about what just happened. That tells me that the threat condition memory is solid.
You picked it up right there. 15 feet away.
Now let's see how Coda does. She is a bit too reactive, but the more we work with her, the less confused she'll be. This is a client's dog, just to give you another example.
Doing good. Watch her head. Keep an eye on her head. Right there. Perfect. Okay, now he knows. We established that. Good, good, good. Okay, need you to go on the other side.
Okay, up and around?
Yep, up and around.
Watch out for real snake. Yeah.
Okay, now we're working with Dylan, and this goes beyond the basics. And what we're showing him is that there's a nice, clear, sandy path straight to your handler, but there's a rattlesnake in the way. So you're going to have to learn how to go through the obstacles to get to your handler.
Okay, calm. There, come here. Calm. Okay, stay right there. Come here, bud. You won't even go forward. That's awesome. Go ahead. Calm. Okay, take him out of the field that way.
Here's Dylan on a different day, preparing for the next level of advancement.
Call his name.
Now we're working with Scout to advance his skills.
Okay, go ahead and call him. Okay. Yep, good boy, good boy, good boy. Hold on. Calm.
All right, I'm not sure what Scout is doing right here, but he's ranging too far. What I'm looking for is a dog that knows the distance to stay away from the snake and to do a good recall. Then I know that they are calm, focused, and making good decisions.
Go ahead and calm. This way. This way. Yep, go.
This is Finn, a highly energized dog. We're just going to let him go, see what kind of decisions he can make.
Grab onto him. Up there, up there, up there, up there, go.
Okay, we're back working with Dylan, and I feel that he's ready for proofing, meaning making sure that rattlesnake aversion training does not affect Dylan during a search if there's a real snake encounter. So this is a search training session. We have human remains, or HR, upstream, and rattlesnakes somewhere in between. Okay, we send Dylan out. Dylan encounters a snake and comes back. Normally, Dylan would be leashed, guided around the danger, and then the search would start back up. In this session, we wanted to see what happened if the handler was unaware the dog was alerting to a snake. We let Dylan make the decisions.
Good.
Good dog, good dog.
Good boy.
Okay, what do we do? Same thing?
Yep.
All right.
I know it's hard to see. I was unaware I was moving the head cam around too much, but this is what I'm looking for. The fact that the rattlesnake aversion training, a rattlesnake encounter, does not affect the search. The dog is making good decisions.
How far up is it?
He's got it.
Okay, we took the high ground, but where does Dylan think that we're at? All right, so what's going on? Dylan's coming back to alert that he's found the source. He's a little bit confused where his handler's at. So in this situation, you can see that this could lead a dog back to the starting point, right back into the snake that may already be disturbed, may not rattle, and now the dog's going with the wind where they may lose orientation of where the rattlesnake is at. So if you feel that you're in a high threat area, keep closer to your dog if you can, keep their nose into the wind so they can detect, and read your dog. All right, that's it. Let all this soak in. The third part of the class, we went over rattlesnake identification, the 3 most venomous snakes that we have in this area. Of course, the Mojave being at the top with a cocktail neuro and hemotoxin, the Diamondback, and Arizona Black. Then we examined a couple of muzzled blacktails. Some people are so afraid of rattlesnakes they don't want to touch them. By the end of the class, okay, beautiful snake. Huh?
Beautiful.
So this one and that and the one in the bucket off my property this year.
Wow.
Whoa! I know, baby.
I don't see the muzzle. Moral of the story, don't ever sit in the front row.
Oh,
A
wow.
month apart on my property.
Wow.
Now look at the difference.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Completely different pattern.
That's Mojave?
No. This is a blacktail as well.
Oh,
it just has different,
Very different.
so is it a male or a female?
No,
type?
they're just different.
Wow.
Different patterns. The same snake.
Got the
same
black
snake.
on the tail.
Yep.
Oh, he's pretty big.
Oh, he wants to go. Oh, my goodness.
Wants to snuggle.
We all know him.
Then we took the snakes outside, set them up in a more natural environment. We brought everybody out one at a time so they can identify the snakes. This will help when you're out in the wilderness to identify wild snakes easier. All right, let's finish up this class by going over precautions and safety. Let's go over rattlesnake protective gear. I'm going to start with hiking boots, gaiters, chaps, and then clothing. For hiking boots, there are 2 options, synthetic or full leather. Although synthetic do breathe better and they're lighter, full leather boots are a lot more puncture resistant. I'm just going to go over what I look for in a hiking boot. Obviously, full leather. I look for thick padding that creates space that fangs can't get through. I like full rubber rand all the way around the boot. gives a little bit more protection, but also I live in a very rocky area, and I'm constantly jamming the sides of my boots in rock crevices while I'm hiking and climbing. And the rand really does protect the leather from scuffing, and it gives good grip. Okay, I look for a narrow footprint. It's all about leverage. When you're stepping on a rock on the very edge of your boot, a more narrow profile will give your ankles more support and strength. Okay, these are Scarpa SL, but there's a lot of good hiking boots out there, like Loa, Zamberlan, Crispy. Let's talk about rattlesnake gaiters. There's 3 types: snap buckle type, Velcro, and zipper. Let's go over Velcro first. Now, everything from dirt dog hair to Russian thistle clog up Velcro, so they're not going to last that long. Another thing I don't like about these is there's no adjustment, so you can't tighten them, loosen them. I don't suggest anything with Velcro. Okay, snap buckle type. I've been using these for years. I exclusively use them in my little research lab here when I'm working with rattlesnakes because they're so easy to install. Now remember, when you put them on, all the hardware goes on the outside of the leg. You don't want anything restrictive on the inside. The only thing I don't like about these is if I'm fighting through the scrub oak, they do have a tendency to twist. So installing a understrap would eliminate that problem. Okay, let's go to zipper. These are turtle skins. These are team issued. And remember, when you're doing research on rattlesnake gaiters, brush gaiters are going to come up as well. So make sure they have a little tag on them like this one does. It talks about how they have been tested by diamondbacks and small needles. So they back up their word. These are made in the US. Okay, so these are zippers, and you know zippers don't last forever, and these are plastic. And all the adjustment is done with elastic. So trying to get them over my big boot here, they will pop up. So definitely you're going to need an understrap. I want you to watch this short clip courtesy of Hill Country Snake Removal down in Texas. They're doing a wonderful job educating people about rattlesnakes. This is a very good demonstration of rattlesnake striking protective gear.
See how these brush guards work against the snake like this.
What about rattlesnake chaps? When would you use those? If you're working in tall grass or reeds or anything that restricts a rattlesnake's lower view, now they're looking up for that threat. That increases your chances of an upper strike. This is Mickey. Mickey's a Mojave. You don't mess with Mickey. Now this bucket is cutting off his lower view. Now he's looking up for that threat. Rattlesnakes can strike straight up. All right, let's talk about clothing. How can you select clothing when you factor in 2 things, hot weather and rattlesnakes? Because for hot weather, we need lightweight, thin, breathable clothing. Clothing that rattlesnake fangs can easily get through. So what I'd like to talk about is how we can use non-protective clothing to reduce the chance of getting bit. Creating space, pocketed space with loose clothing, increases my chances that the rattlesnake may strike my clothing before they get to me. Another thing, rattlesnakes are pit vipers, so their pits are thermal sensors. That means they're picking up our body heat. So a bare arm with this focused heat could activate their defensive system very quickly. Okay, cover that up with loose clothing, what does that do? It breaks up and spreads out our heat signature, making me just a little bit less of a threat. When I'm hiking through trails and washes, I'm looking for sticks that may seem out of place, because sometimes they're not sticks, sometimes they're rattlesnakes stretched out sunbathing. What you are watching is me with my brand new head cam checking out the adjustments, making a small video on the pretty rocks on my property, not realizing that I'm just about to film a real rattlesnake encounter. Right about here. Do you see it? In the wash, a little bit to the right, stretched out underneath the root branches. Here's the rattle on the tail, lower half of the body. Let's move forward. You can see the upper half, and the head is somewhere around this area. I had no idea the snake was here. And then I start showing some of the pretty rocks, and then I turn around and head back. Yeah. Whoa. Okay, rattlesnake. Nice. The rattlesnake did not have the time to react to the first pass through, even though I nearly stepped on his head, but then gives a warning and makes his escape when threatened again. But you can't escape me. I had to run all the way up the hill, get the equipment. By the time I got back down, I had to circle the scrub for about 5 minutes to locate him. Nope, stay.
Let's say that we want to camp underneath a tree. It's hot outside and we need shade, but we're concerned that there could be a rattlesnake. Having a walking stick or something like it and keeping your distance and just tapping around to see if we can activate a rattlesnake. Working your way around. Now this tree has a hole in it, so we're going to check that out. And just remember, if you come across a rattlesnake, you don't want them feeling like they're backed in a corner, so you want to give them a clear escape route. Okay, so let's go over to these pallets. This stack of pallets used to be in the back of my building, right next to a pipe rack. And one day my dogs were sniffing around and they activated a rattlesnake. So I got them out of there. Now I got my equipment. Now I figured that it was underneath the pipe rack. And I'm crouched down and I was ready to take another step in when I felt I better look up into the pallets. And there it was at shoulder level, about 1.5 feet away from me. If I would have taken another step in, I would have got it in the shoulder or the face. So yes, rattlesnakes can get up into things. Rattlesnakes can get up into lower trunk areas and thick lower hanging branches. So you just have to be careful when you're working around vegetation undergrowth. Okay, rattlesnakes are cold-blooded, so all through the night they're cooling off. By morning, they're slow, sluggish, and their striking is less accurate. So early mornings are a lot safer for hiking, training, and search.
Several times I've sent dogs out and watched them run right over the top of a rattlesnake, and once with these two. It happens so fast that the snake doesn't have enough time to react, and the dogs may be unaware of what happened. Your first reaction is to recall, but that can bring the dogs back over the snake that's already disturbed. So don't panic, think things through. Maybe I can get around the snake and then recall the dogs. This is a bull snake or a gopher snake. Two names, same snake. I get a lot of questions on what do they look like and how they act. I want you to listen to the tail vibrating against the concrete and listen to it pumping air. In the last 3 years, our team has had 3 rattlesnake encounters during training and search. In my opinion, that seems like a low number. So some years you might not see any, other years you might see a lot of them. It's just unpredictable. So let's talk about if a team member gets bit by a rattlesnake. One of the most important things is to keep them as calm and relaxed as possible. Don't let them move around very much. We want to reduce the heart rate to slow the spread of the venom. You're going to call for emergency assistance. If this is a search, most likely you're going to be using incident command. If it's training, then it's going to be a 911 call. You're going to keep the bite area at or slightly below heart level. Jewelry, watches, anything restrictive on all the limbs comes off. If you see the snake, take a picture, identify, but don't go looking for it. We want to stay safe. Could medical use that information? Well, maybe, but medical is going to go by vitals. That's more important. Nothing should be done with the bite area, except if you see venom, which would be a thick yellow substance and is water soluble. So you can just wash it off with water. What we're not going to do, tourniquets, heat, ice, cutting and sucking out the venom, suction devices. The bite area should just be left alone. Okay, transport options. If there's a helicopter available, or if we can get a vehicle back to that site, then don't move that person. But if there's no other options, that person can be carried out. What about a dry bite, meaning the person was bit, there's 2 puncture wounds, but the snake delivered little to no venom. So there might not be that rapid expansion of pain and swelling. So do you wait to see if that's a dry bite? No. Any puncture wounds, treat it as a real bite. Sometimes there's delayed reactions. So let medical determine whether or not that's a dry or wet bite. Let's talk about the venom, and let's start with the neurotoxin. I'm going to give the quick online version. It disrupts nerve function, causing paralysis and respiratory issues. Now, what I see in the videos, droopy eyelids, slurred speech, motor issues like twitching and coordination problems, and problems breathing. Okay, hemotoxin, blood tissue swelling, potentially restricting blood flow. Okay, let's talk about if a dog gets bit by a rattlesnake. Much like the human, we're going to keep them as calm and relaxed as possible. We want to lower that heart rate to slow the spread of the venom. Now, on the team, we train and condition the dogs to be carried out if there's an emergency situation. And a rattlesnake bite will fit under that category. So the dog should be carried out. Collars, harnesses, anything restrictive comes off. And this is going to be an emergency veterinarian call. And I want you to note, not all veterinarians treat rattlesnake bites. Antivenom is expensive. It has a short shelf life. It takes training and experience to know how to use it. Now, emergency veterinarians in rattlesnake areas like the area we live in should have the necessary training, experience, equipment, and antivenom. You want to make sure that the veterinarian facility is equipped and prepared for your arrival. And while en route, if your dog starts having problems like rapid breathing, weakness, recall the vet and let them know. Antivenom is most effective within 4 hours of the bite. And just remember when you arrive, if there is little swelling and the dog is alert, antivenom may be held back to make sure that it is not a dry bite. I hope this video has given you a better understanding of rattlesnakes and the information to learn how to stay safer around them. Rattlesnake aversion training will give you confidence when you are out in the wilderness working with your dog as a team. And watching this video should give you the ability to recognize when your dog is detecting a snake. That's why it's so important to be in tune with your dog. All right, thank you for watching. Now I just need to finish up feeding a few rattlesnakes. And look at that grip. Look at that grip, just like a bulldog.